very
getting
small.
messages from somebody saying you're echoing, or somebody might be echoing.
Oh, yeah, I am echoing. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. But so by manipulation, you mean like sort of talking tactics, like tools that certain people might learn to benefit themselves in a social situation?
Yeah, I want you to listen to what I'm saying. I want to like we're communicating like you have a goal for communicating. Maybe it's for you to understand, and you could even say me trying to make you understand what I'm saying is a form of manipulation. But that's not even.
But sometimes
worth...
those intentions aren't bad. Sometimes
it's just fine. It's fine. It's just
Okay.
it's like a 0.1 on the spectrum where like, and once you get up to like of like, so abuse is a spectrum. And like all like intimate relationships are going to have abuse. And that's just normal. You can't avoid it. But once it gets up to like 8 or something, now it's like legally abuse. And if we have to look at it, so people have so much pushback on that. I'm hearing myself. Is that coming through you?
Yeah, it's possible. Actually, you want to talk again?
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, it is. My mic is apparently really sensitive. Here, I'll lower it, and then I'll get closer. That might help a bit. Talk again?
All right. I don't hear myself. It's good.
All right, good. Cool.
Okay, so...
I just have to be closer sometimes.
So people, I think it's a lot of times just to be dismissive. Or because they're afraid, maybe it freaks them out for some reason. But if we're only doing a conversation about abuse where at an 8 out of 10 on the scale is abuse, and the rest we're not calling abuse because this is legal abuse and this isn't, that removes our ability to have conversations about the shitty things we do to each other and trying to improve like our relationships and be better people to each other. It means we can't talk about that. And then any language that we make to talk about that, it becomes more and more inaccessible, and like no, you're not allowed to use this word. Like the words that we have to use, like I can't say manipulate. I can't say like you're just
Like,
making
you
it so I
don't
can't
want to vilify. Like
But I'm not
sort of socially pressure you to not vilify the other person because it isn't bad yet.
But I'm against vilifying people. That's the thing.
Okay.
So I'm abusive sometimes, you know? And when I'm abusive, I want to be confronted and I want to talk about it, and it's fine. So I think that people that want to see it as black and white are just making the world a stupider place.
Okay.
Because they're cowards.
Do you find that you're realizing people are abusing you a lot, and that it's a 2 or a 1, like that it's not bad? Like, do you find yourself sort of hyper aware of that?
Not really.
Okay, that's good. But you're just aware of it to a level.
I'm aware of it when I think it's if it's interesting, or, well, I mean, like I'm aware of it once it gets to like a 5. Under 5, like I'm saying if an 8 is like now legally abuse, like
right.
So in like a relationship, you are negotiating boundaries and stuff, and you're trying to figure shit out. Like I've never been in a relationship where both me and my partner have the same exact sexual needs and wants, and negotiating those things is awkward and shit. And like you're gonna like, okay, I'm willing to do this for you, and you're willing to do this for me, and you're figuring it out. And like some of that shit can make you feel uncomfortable and violated, and you have to figure out how to communicate about that and not violate people and stuff like that. So
right. So it's more about like figuring out like what could lead to abuse. Like it isn't necessarily
what could lead to legal abuse.
Legal abuse, yeah, severe abuse. I guess that's what we could call it, like severe abuse.
Yeah.
Things that exceed like a 7. And that like if we're not conscious of it when it's still a 2 or a 3 or 4, that will allow it to get there, basically.
Sure.
I
wouldn't call someone an abuser, like as a definition of them, unless they were like doing extreme abuse like consistently. But if we're talking about a behavior,
set up a pattern.
Yeah, but if we're talking about a specific behavior in and of itself, then I'm willing to call it, no, this is an abusive behavior. We're talking about a behavior I do, a behavior you do, a behavior Anyone does. This is an abusive behavior, and it doesn't mean you do it all the time. Doesn't mean you're an abuser. It just means it's shitty.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, so how long have you been streaming?
About a year, maybe.
A year. And was this always sort of the like topic of your streams was sort of uh, psychological discussions or like or discussions about communication and stuff like that, intimate relationships?
More or less. I go on panels and talk about like random shit a lot.
Mm,
But I'm most passionate like psychoanalyzing and stuff like that.
mm-hmm. Did any of that start with like with your sort of um collaborations with Mr. Girl, or was that just already where you were leaning and that brought you two
No,
together?
that's why I liked Miss, because I was watching Destiny,
Mm-hmm.
and I had flirted with streaming way back then. Like a way long time ago. I remember I went into a call in on Pixie, Pixie on her like show, and
I think
uh,
so.
and I remember saying that like the way that the people at the time, this was years ago, the way that people at the time were talking to like right wing people, like
Mm-hmm.
and the way these left wing political streamers are talking to the right wingers, it's like they're they're talking to like their fucking like abusive dad. And what they really, with the, if you really want to get through to like a right winger, if like with your positions and shit, it's not to scream at them or tell them that they're a horrible person. It's to be like compassionate and be a good listener.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
and so when I saw Mr. Girl go on Destiny, then I was like, someone's doing it. Someone's doing. I mean, and he's kind of an asshole too. But someone's doing the
He
psychoanalytic.
who
Um,
is an asshole.
Mr. Girl.
Mr. Girl is kind
Yeah,
of an
yeah,
asshole too. Okay.
he's
Okay.
an asshole. But
Yeah.
but he's kind of doing this psychoanalytic like approach, like feelings, like kind of soy. He's like soy in a really like loud way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, so I was like, oh shit, and he got a lot of traction doing that, and then I was like, okay, this can work. Like I see what it is that can happen. And he was still in the Destiny sphere at the time, and he was like really up there among the orbiters.
Yeah.
And so I went on his call-in show because he had this call-in show. He had a TV, and he would have his guest appear on the TV next to him, a CRT TV, and nobody
Okay.
did anything interesting with the visuals of that. Nobody used it to start like streaming or anything. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, there's an opportunity here. Like if I just make an impression and with this, like I could just literally like skyrocket a career. So I
Uh-huh.
went and I got in my dog cage, and I got like a flickering red light, and that was like the only thing lighting up the room. I was in my boxers in a dog cage, and I crawled out of it, and then I had a discussion. I was still like kind of awkward at talking then, but very shortly after that, then he leaves the Destiny sphere, and that path that I saw just dissolved right in front of me. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but I'm still working, still doing it.
So could you see yourself in the future making content with Destiny, or would you avoid it if the opportunity came?
I don't know. Like
Okay.
I feel like he'd just do his best to make me look stupid, to like discredit me. I mean, I made a
Mm-hmm.
video criticizing him, so I feel like his any
That
interaction he
his
had,
motives would be
he's just
somewhere
gonna
else.
try to humiliate me and make me look stupid
Okay. And that would be sort of a reason to not do it.
because
Like you wouldn't
he's
have
really
been
good at it.
right.
So I feel like, I mean, if I did interact with him, it could be good for numbers and shit, but it's gonna send a lot of hate my way. And I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it would even like make like I don't want to be Mr. Girl where I get like fucking deplatformed because I have so many hate
Mm-hmm.
viewers. You
Or
know?
like death threats or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
Um. Okay. So. So you probably would be hesitant to make content with Destiny. Um. But you're open to making more content with sort of like, I guess, like Destiny outcasts or Destiny victims in a sense.
I'm open to it. I mean, but then I understand that if I'm doing that, then my chances of like pissing off Destiny go way up. And
Yeah, and
I'm
that might sort of either back you into an interaction with him,
yeah,
right?
you know, and so you know, if I'm gonna do that, then I should probably be willing to talk to Destiny, if he wanted to. But it is scary. I just think he's just gonna humiliate me. He's just gonna humiliate me. He's gonna make me look stupid. I don't want to.
I think there's value to.
Oh, if I do it, I'm gonna bring Lav on, okay? Because
Okay.
because
to
Lav,
defend you.
no, she is. I don't know how she's not the best at defending people, but she is really funny. You have to give her credit for
I
that.
agree.
Yeah.
No, I agree. So I think there's value to, despite like if you end up like embarrassed or if there's any shame related to how you feel after the show, that there's value to like when you argue with someone who's pretty apt or like skillful rhetoric, like with rhetoric, that you learn something, you take something away from it. You know what I mean? Like doing that would prepare you to argue with other people you might have reservations towards. You know what I mean?
Yes and no. There's yes, okay, yes and yes, but I think there's the part of that is something else. A lot of that isn't really argumentative skill. Some of it is, and Destiny is a good arguer and he is smart. But a lot of that is social maneuvering. I think this is even more apparent on a panel. Because everybody's vying for a spotlight or attention, and everybody's trying to make everybody else look stupid. And the more power you have, like you have a lot of viewers, everybody shuts up when you're talking because it makes you look bad. You don't want to you don't want to be the enemy of the guy that's talking that has a lot of viewers. So I think that people are like the Mr. Girl. I was talking to Mr. Girl about this, and his way of describing it is that people are actively trying to prevent you from being charismatic. And
right.
that's
they
different.
Want to be the most charismatic, right?
Right. So that's different from like good argumentativeness and stuff. And I don't know, like you can make content in situations where people are not actively trying to make you less charismatic. Like you can be Lex Friedman, you could be Benjamin Boyce. Like these are people like Brittany Simon.
Like certain hosts have different styles, and some uplift better in a sense.
Well, some of them just don't put themselves in like really combative situations. But I do put myself in combative situations, so maybe I should get better at it. I don't know. But like another thing that I do is like I think that I am vulnerable in a way that like makes people like come at me. And then I just like suck up all their punches.
Do you think that you feed the trolls?
I try not to, but
you try not to, but that's what I mean. Like going off on what you said about that you are sensitive in a way that makes people come at you. I'm assuming it's not everybody, but it's certain, I guess, bullies or something like that. Like they target you. Do you think it's like?
I don't know.
Like if somebody comes at you to get a reaction.
It's not just they target me. I also put myself in those positions too.
Okay. So you essentially like are confrontational to them.
Well, I'm like dangling myself out like my own bait for my own destruction, almost sometimes.
Do you think it could lead to your destruction, or do you think that you're
I don't know, like
emotionally well equipped to deal with it?
I don't know. Ben Thorpe wants to fucking unless I publicly humiliate myself for him. He wants to like press charges on me for some retarded shit.
No, I've heard that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
I'm not afraid of that.
Like, placation. I wouldn't do the placation. I would like.
Yeah. No way in hell.
Hope that he doesn't. I think the more mature route for him would be to not do that. Obviously.
Yeah.
Right?
Like
you know.
Yeah. Like. You think you're like a big man, like you actually don't think I'm a bad person. You said it yourself the other day, and you actually like do all the shit that you want to like press charges on me for, and also those charges will immediately get thrown out. I don't even have to get a lawyer. A public defender could throw out these fucking erroneous retarded charges.
Yeah. It
But
would likely be dismissed by like a judge, or honestly, like Ben wouldn't go to court, right? But
I
um,
mean, oh, he might. He's done it before. He did it to his own fucking son.
right, like he went to court with his own son. But I just mean like, normally people use these threats and they don't want to follow through with them. They want just to like use it as a power move. I think like, I'm not trying to question his follow through. He probably would do it if you got really serious about it. I just don't think he should personally. And actually, one of my later questions was going to be, but I'll bring it up now. Do you think you would ever make content with the Thorpes again? Or do you think that interaction was enough for you to say that you don't want to?
No, no, I won't. No,
No.
they
Okay.
lost their shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think
It
Mr.
wasn't.
Girl
It
has
wasn't.
this
Wait,
way
wait.
of
It
sorry.
it wasn't. It wasn't like the car ride and me leaving and shit. I might have still done content after that. It was like making like the
It was
threats
the
after.
reaction to that,
Yes,
the
yes,
threats,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, after that day, I remember telling him, like, I don't think you should just on principle. If you're willing to not press the charges if he apologizes, just pretend that he apologized. You know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily like harming people or whatever on principle. Um, More so on necessity, right? So if you don't need to, why do it, right? And that's kind of what I told Ben that night. But obviously, he did still threaten, like, and he spent probably, I would imagine, a couple days saying, "Oh, if you don't apologize, I'll press
Yeah,
charges. We have
he
the
sent me
videos.
more
We have the
messages last
evidence."
night.
Okay. Um.
He got
Yeah.
a,
Well, that's a
he got a
shame.
fancy lawyer to write something so it looks more professional.
Hmm. That's a shame. I think like Mr. Girl does have this way of bringing up conflict, like sort of points, but in a mature way, and in a way that doesn't, like you said, it was like with more feeling. I
Yeah.
think.
Hold on one
Um.
second. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Yeah. He's bringing it up with emotion because he's taking the soy route. If you're gonna go
Mhm.
soy versus Giga Chad.
Yeah, I mean, I have noticed that because I used to do panel shows a lot too, and that not a lot of viewers like fence sitters. Like they don't like when somebody comes in with a rational, well thought out point and tries to like appease both sides of an argument and mellow things out and get people to like each other. And that sort of seems like an approach that maybe Mr. Girl doesn't always take, but he does take sometimes.
Really? I felt like he I don't know. I can't remember.
I mean, I definitely know there are approaches where he doesn't do that. Like obviously with Destiny and Abba, he doesn't like them, but uh, I just think like it stinks because all right, Ben and Grace obviously don't do that approach. When somebody challenges them, they go the opposite direction. They try to bring some kind of like embarrassment or something, or try to shit on them. But I really liked the stream you guys did together. I really liked the content you guys made together. Um,
Yeah, Cassie Catnip in my chat just said Grace called me a cunt because I asked to speak with her when she was talking to me about the situation and not have her dad speak for her. That dynamic is so weird.
mm-hmm. I'm inclined to agree, but also that is their content. Like their content is that they're a team, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Um, I guess she likely wouldn't have that conversation live, right? But offline, and if only like Catnip sort of, I saw that conversation that she's referencing actually. Um, that happened offline in a Discord call, but Ben and Grace were both in the call, and oftentimes I've been noticing, if Grace tries to get a point in, that Ben will be like, "No, shut up," and then he'll be like the leader, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what, like, what was your goal going into that, like being starting to become like a content buddy with Grace? Because I know you set limits where you said, you know, maybe Ben should be involved less, but you also did a stream with Ben early on, right?
Yeah.
How was that?
Oh, cause like first, so early on, I didn't really know much about them. I was just like, well, this is this guy that did like people say they did incest and shit, and I know not very little, and I'm like, oh, from seeing, I don't feel like they did it.
I don't think they did either.
I don't feel like they did it, and so like I thought that was interesting. But he does seem like I mean, he's not. He is Ben is a massive asshole. Like nobody can he would not
Yeah.
disagree with that. I mean,
Uh-huh.
but
But he does seem like a nice guy. Are you about to
no,
say
I
like
no, I don't think
okay.
he seems like a nice guy. I think he seems like a total asshole.
Okay,
But I don't think he did it, and I don't care. I'm fine talking to assholes. It's fine.
Mhm.
And it's interesting. He's very he's got a way of like he's very strongly opinionated.
Mhm.
So I knew very little. Um, so I did a couple streams, and then he kept like trying to like get me to do more streams, and he would constantly message me. Like he messaged me as if like we had made like a deal, like what are we
Like a
are we
recurring.
are we through? Like it'd be like 2 days since we last talked on stream, and he'd be like, "What's going on? Are we through?" Like, bro, like I talk to like I have like people that I'm friends with that I stream sometimes, and I won't talk to them for a week, and they don't like message me like a
Mhm.
paranoid ex-girlfriend or girlfriend or whatever.
Yeah, he does seem tied up in making new sort of streaming bonds, and he wants them to be strong, but then he also does
Yeah,
everything to break them apart.
yeah, I think that's part of his thing. Yeah,
Hmm.
and well, it's like well the way I see it is he wants you to put up with all of his bullshit. It's like he tells people that they're weak and they're meek and shit,
Yeah.
but also he requires people around him to have absolutely no backbone to be able to tolerate him. And so
Right, like if they did have more of a backbone, he would get furious.
yeah, exactly. And if they had more of a backbone, they would stop talking to him because
Hmm.
he does everything he can to like
Make
repulse
people
them away from
uncomfortable.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I guess I agree. I think, damn, I just had a thought and then I lost it.
well
But
so then I
oh, do you
came.
think that he does that to like sort of make uh do you think that he does that to people, making them feel meek, making them feel worthless, to later on leverage compliments?
I think he starts off with the compliments, and then he
Okay.
like starts tearing you down, and you want to. So like he'll you will set a boundary, and you will say, I don't want to do this, and then that's the one thing he's going to want you to do the most. And
Okay.
then when you do it, he will do the thing that you're afraid of, that will be embarrassing for you, and then that gives him leverage over you. Like like me going out with Grace, and now like, oh, I'm gonna make like these bullshit like accusations, shit like that, and then he'll use that to leverage you to do more shit. I mean, he did this with
Hmm.
his whole family, and that's why they're like completely destroyed. He'll like, so then you basically like you're blackmailed into doing more shit that makes you even more. You have to trust him more and more and more. And at any point, the more you do that, at any point, if you stop trusting him, he's got a mountain of shit to dump on you. And
Hmm.
like, it's like he's sucking people into like an incredibly abusive situation. And he likes to lord over people and control people and humiliate
And
and hurt
even if he
people.
didn't dump it, he would use it as a guilt like related thing. Like you did this wrong, you did this wrong. I
Yes.
have
Well,
this.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um so I want to talk more about leverage. So we can keep it off of Ben from now on, but leverage. Uh what do you think the relationship between like leverage and common communications are? Like I know you think that some people um there are like twos on the abuse scale and it's something that happens, everybody does it to some extent.
Yeah.
Um does everybody use leverage too? Are there soft ways to leverage people that aren't that bad?
Sure.
Or is leverage always like a
Sure.
manipulate? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it happens a lot without us thinking about it.
Hmm.
Like, um, like a lot of times, if you are like a micro celebrity, you'll have sex with people because you're a micro celebrity. Because someone's like, and I don't. That's like kind of leverage. You probably don't even think about it. It's just like,
Right.
and you're not like if you're not actively thinking like that you're trying to like use that to control people. You're like, oh, this person likes me and they're attractive, and then you just have sex or whatever. And
Like, oh, they got infatuated with me, but it's because they saw me. Like, yeah, it has something to do with me being famous,
but
but
you're
that
not
just gets me
actually
more
using the
outreach.
leverage. You're not trying to
Yeah.
use the leverage. So I think it happens to people. Like
But little do you know that is a big major pull, and that it is essentially leverage.
in a way, yeah.
Okay.
I don't even think
And
that
that
having sex with fans is really that big of a deal. I think
it's
that
not unethical, like unless in for certain cases.
yeah, like a super fan, I think it
Hmm.
probably is. Like someone who like
Okay.
is actually like completely obsessed with you and shit. That
So then what do you do when you're not a micro celebrity? So like I think that Drake likely has more super fans
yeah.
than like Destiny, but Destiny has a ton of fans and maybe a good
Um
amount of super fans. So it might be easier for like Destiny to
it's
tell
it's on the
he might be
spectrum.
getting in an
Okay? It's on the
okay.
spectrum. Okay? I don't think that Drake can have sex without it being something like that. You know, it's
He
impossible.
always leverages his
I mean,
fame
not on
without
purpose.
meaning
No, no,
to,
like no,
without
no. I
meaning
don't
to.
think
Yeah,
he's.
yeah.
I don't think he's leveraging it. I think that there is leverage. I don't think he is
Hmm.
leveraging it, but
Yeah, yeah, he doesn't mean to.
there's a finger. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think he needs to. No.
There's just too much power in that,
Yeah,
like in his
and that's I don't
brand.
care. Like it's fine. Like I think it's it's maybe even fine to have sex with a super fan, but to date them, no, because to date them
Mm,
now in your relationship, that's going to be imbalanced in a really unhealthy way for them. They will play into it. They will imbalance it on purpose in your favor, and that's going to be bad for them.
hmm.
And that isn't a good situation. But maybe just fucking them is not that bad.
Mm.
Like it really depends on the situation. But
Um. Okay. It's hard though then because that means that Drake can only date hyper famous people, right? He has a very limited pool of dating,
he
um,
well
ethically,
he
right?
could date people that aren't like super fans, but
Hmm. It'd
it's
just be harder for him to find a
yeah,
non-super
and,
fan,
it
right?
would be hard to know if they're concealing their fanness, you know.
Right. I think even a non-fan would be starstruck by him,
Yes,
right?
yes, 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 exactly.
So that would cause that same like level of imbalance if they dated.
Yeah, and you would have to find like a really secure, like maybe rich people. They like the people that don't need
Rich people.
anything.
Okay.
So like there's nothing like rich person that doesn't actually want to be famous. That kind of person probably like yeah, I know you're famous and shit. That's kind of cool, you know. I don't want to be part of that. And that might there's probably people like that, but it's I
Yeah.
mean, it's just a sad fact that if you get that famous, it's going to be hard.
No, I agree. Do you think that that causes like class issues where now only class like you have to sort of be within a certain class to date certain people?
Mm, well, we're talking about fame.
Yeah.
I think it's different with class.
So like you think a regular just very wealthy like someone who could qualify to date Drake ethically could just date someone who isn't rich or famous.
I think he could date somebody that was not rich and famous. It's just more dangerous. So ethics is not the same as morality. So like when if something is unethical, that doesn't mean it's necessarily immoral. And other people describe it differently, but this is why I describe it. Ethics is like a statistical thing. There's a statistical probability that you are going to hurt somebody, but that doesn't mean you're going to. And the reason we have
Right.
ethics is to make a statistical protection. So I think
Okay.
he could date someone that's a fan, but it's way more risky, right?
Okay. If he is somebody who his intentions are pure, could he sort of ignore the ethics for a time.
You know, like what he should do is like date one couples counseling. You know what I mean? Like that
Okay.
maybe like get like a
Wait, date
third.
a couples counselor or
No,
date
no,
somebody and take them to
yeah,
couples
like
counseling?
from the first date, like have like a third party like watching him and be like making sure everything's okay. You know what I mean?
Oh, that sounds hellish though, right?
I have a friend that actually does that. And he's not
What?
famous. But
Okay.
he's
He's just
got
really concerned with the
he's got
ethics of the.
mental stuff. So
Okay. Is he looking out for himself or the other party?
I think both. Yeah,
Okay. Well, that's cool. Definitely.
and he pays
All
for
right.
it.
That is a big expense.
Yeah.
I would imagine. So so we talked a bit about leverage. Do you find that it's easy for like you said you were getting better earlier. Do you think that it's easy for people to leverage you or manipulate you? And then
Uh,
and then this is going to lead into do
I'm
you ever think that Mr. Girl
uh
leverages
uh
you?
yeah. I don't think so. No, I think that's the
Okay.
gift that he's given. I do think that I, especially early on, because I'm a people pleaser, and I'm
Mhm.
getting better at that. And I think so. His relationship to me is he has not let me. He's kind of distant to me in a way. He's warm to me in some ways, but he doesn't. He like with Lav. He said he's her dad, right? That's not the relationship we have.
Right. That's one of the things too is I think I've heard viewers call you the unofficial like Mr. Girl son.
Yeah, and I think I play into that and a little
Okay.
bit, and I joke about that a little bit, but
Okay.
it's not true. It's not the
All right.
actual like the gift that but also in a way, all in a way yes,
Mhm.
because the thing that he's doing that is like for me to help me is he has these boundaries because he knows that I am a people pleaser and that I need to and it's not just people pleaser. Like I could latch on to him and then like lose myself a little bit, and he won't let me do that because he knows that. So
So that's good. So he has good intentions for you and he mentors you, but he doesn't let you fall into that side of yourself, probably because he recognizes it.
yeah, and because of that, I think I've gotten a lot better at individuating myself and not enmeshing and stuff. It's because of the stuff I was talking about in that video. Your narcissist boyfriend abused me too. It's
Mhm.
because coming out of that relationship is when I first started streaming, and my sense of identity was like really in a bad
It was
place.
shifting.
And I like in that moment, my sense of self came from seeing myself through the narcissist eyes. So I was looking for another person to see myself through their eyes. And I could have seen myself through Max's eyes, and he's like, no, no, that's not happening. So that's the gift he gave me.
Seeing yourself through the other eyes. I've seen you talk a bit about the empathetic simulation. Um, can you talk a bit about that and what you think the like what somebody's ability to simulate empathy for somebody else looks like? And is that what you're doing when you view yourself through a narcissist's eyes? Are you building a simulation of how they think and empathizing with
Sure.
yourself through them?
Well, I feel like it's reverse. It's I
Okay.
and I think that some professionals, this sort of goes with the stuff I've heard professionals say about narcissism. I'm not a professional, so listen to them more than me. But I think I can say the narcissist projects their vision of you onto you. So you are not living. You are living in their simulation, and you are creating a simulation of their brain that is you. I am so in that relationship, a lot of my brain is think like every act I do, part of me is thinking through the eyes of the narcissist. So you you become basically the simulation of the other person. Like that becomes part of your personality. Does that make sense? Like,
Uh, I think so. So,
but
for
that
example, like you approach, if somebody is a narcissist that you're trying to please because of whatever reason, you might go, if I do this, they'll view me like this. So you're simulating their thought process.
Right.
Okay. And
Like-
then that's how you're kind
like-
of going, not every step, but some of the steps.
And
of
the
your routine
narcissist,
might-
like the true like not most people aren't
the malicious narcissist.
Yeah, they will stoke this and stuff, so they will constantly criticizing you, and basically helping form this. So like you'll do something they don't like, and they'll make you really know about it, and that will be part of your simulation now every time. So and just to fuck with you, just to just to demoralize you and like crumble your actual sense of identity. So you like, so maybe I like like a certain kind of porn. Like I like I don't know, like I'm trying to think of, like I like furry porn. I don't like furry porn, but it's just
Yeah.
let's say I like furry porn. This and then the narcissist, maybe they don't really give a fuck, but they're like they'll act disgusted that you like that, and then every time you do it, you'll be thinking about them, and you think that you have to like change. No, this is not a good. You know, I need to.
Or you'll feel shame or something. Or
Yeah,
you'll
yeah,
hide
and they want
details.
to make you feel ashamed, because a narcissist is very ashamed of themselves, but they make everyone else experience shame so that they don't have to.
So what does that do for the narcissist? Making others experience shame normalizes shame for themselves, or actually alleviates it?
It alleviates it. It alleviates it. A narcissist is, I go by the model of narcissism by Sam Vaknin, and he coined the term narcissistic abuse too. And he says that the narcissist it's like a narcissist is very dissociated from early childhood, from their own identity, and they feel an emptiness, and they're unable to feel a sense of themselves unless other people are like experiencing. So that's why they force so much onto other people. And it's not like there are narcissistic psychopaths that do it very intentionally, but most narcissists aren't. They do it impulsively because they need to do that. They need to fuck with you.
Does it tie into their dopamine, you think? Like they get addicted to it a little without realizing?
More than dopamine, it ties into every part of their identity and their sense of self. Because so a narcissist tears you down and makes you feel pathetic and ashamed and stupid, and worthless. And by doing that, it makes them feel worthwhile. And it's the only way. It's the only way that they can feel worthwhile and not ashamed, because you're ashamed.
Do you think that there's helping narcissists out of these types of cycles and holes?
Yeah.
Like the non-intentional narcissist?
Yeah.
So I often have this sort of argument I get in with my friends. Because I used to have a bad relationship with some of my family members, and over time it improved and they got better. And I've seen a lot of my own peers like sort of abandon sort of abusive family members. And I normally prescribe that people should be sticking with their family and helping them get better. But it is a very difficult thing to do, especially depending on where, an abusive family member might be at. Because, like, yeah, maybe they might be a softcore narcissist, but they could be like a whole, psychotic narcissist with like BPD or something like that. And it could be like a compound behavioral disorder.
Well, they can't be a narcissist with BPD, but I see what you're saying. Like, but
okay, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I don't want to get muddled into all the like different fucking.
I just meant like more than one behavioral disorder. Like when more.
Right. That's actually kind of what like what BPD is.
It's narcissism, or
BPD is narcissism, psychopathy. It's a mix of a bunch of other things, and it can look different in different people, and it presents and it's easier to fix, and it's easier to a true narcissist by the model that I'm talking about, the Sam Vaknin model, is like an incredibly hard to untangle thing, and I don't think that most people we call narcissists are this.
So it's easier to solve it when they have compound problems. It's harder to solve it when they're fully narcissistic.
Because it's like a true narcissist has like they ever since like 5 years old or something, they have completely detached themselves from their own true self, and they have created this armor, and that's the only thing that they see. They're reactive, and they are trying to impact other people so that they can feel something instead, and they can't find themselves inside of themselves. It's missing. They can't find it. And I think that like Sam Vaknin thinks it's like basically impossible to fix that. I don't. I think he's a coward. I think that he's just afraid to be as vulnerable as that would require. And I think he's probably been hurt trying to do that, which makes it harder, but I don't think it's impossible.
Okay. And then do you have, I'm going to ask a question and I'm going to go away, but I can hear you.
Sure.
I'll be like 30 seconds. So this question is pretty simple. Do you have a distaste for streamers in general?
I mean, are you a streamer? I don't have a distaste for you. Oh,
yes. Sorry. I guess larger streamers than me. Not like the lower just chatting region of streaming, but like anything Destiny and above, I guess.
No.
So like Destiny, XQC, Mizkif. Oh, okay.
No.
And
okay.
then-
XQC is a lovable retard. Like he's an absolute fucking retard. And also like he does steal people's content, but he's not a fucking evil person or whatever. Like Mizkif, he is embarrassing himself, and I think he's sad about it. I've seen clips of him talking about that, and he doesn't know how to escape. Like he does, like the cycle he's put himself into. And I feel that, like, I don't hate him. No, I don't hate these people.
So you don't have a distaste for streamers. Okay.
No.
It would take essentially a streamer displaying traits you don't like for you to dislike them. Like, you don't necessarily find yourself finding reasons to dislike them. It's more so some, like in the case of Destiny, have given you reasons to be weary of them.
Yeah, I think he's like, if I talk to SQC, I'm not afraid of that. But if I talk to Destiny, I think he's just gonna try to humiliate me and embarrass me and send a bunch of hate my way.
I think a lot of people feel that way about Destiny. Maybe not just like embarrass me, but they feel that if they were to be in a call with him, it would be uncomfortable. They wouldn't be able to deal with it.
Yeah, I felt that before, but now that I made this video, I think it would be really bad.
It would be worse.
Yeah, I think he's like.
Do you think there's a level of professionalism there, though, where he's a streamer, you're a streamer, and he recognizes that you're, got to do what you got to do. You're interacting with a bigger streamer in the name of Mr. Girl.
I don't think he has respect for that. I think he's like a dog eat dog kind of guy as far as streaming goes. And
so in order for there to be respect, you would have to like beat him at his own game or something like that. Like, you would have to be doing what you're doing, show up, and then not fall.
I think the only way that he's going to be nice to somebody is if they are like, if they placate him or anything. I think if you criticize him and shit, even if he likes you, like he had like a long relationship with Lav where like there was hate going on and like back and forth. But he still like, like had nodded the hat because like she's funny and clever, and entertaining. But yeah, I don't think that he's gonna be nice. He still sent all that hate her way and everything, and humiliated her, and did a lot to destroy her image. She didn't do much to help herself, but I think he's gonna do that to you unless you turn your wrist up at him.
Do you think that might have had anything to do with her being a hot woman who like showed interest in him, rather than her being like funny or clever or interesting?
I think like the reason that he was like a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And then also like when it comes to him targeting her, it's hard to talk about, I guess, because to some extent there was a level of targeting already in the way he made content while they were still friends. But when he actually started to like destroy her reputation, it largely came after he thought that she was trying to destroy his reputation as well.
Right, but the real person that was trying to destroy his reputation was Max. But he directed it all to her. Like, and he still. I was just watching right before this thing, like a panel with Lav and Catnip and then Destiny joined the call, and he like implied that she had written the article. She didn't fucking write the article at all. Like she was freaked out
Oh
about
right,
it.
yeah, yeah. She
It's
didn't
like,
write
and
it. Yeah.
he's still saying like as if she did. Like no,
Well, like in
you're
his
pointing
mind,
it
she's the star witness. I think he said, right?
right, but she actively was freaked out by the article that Max was writing, and she was talking about it publicly, like that she's worried about it.
Do you think
Eventually,
that was a case of her needing to say, Max, maybe don't include me? Like she should have put her
she
foot down?
was doing that, and then at one point Max convinced her, like he showed her like an early draft, and then she was like, okay, this is, I'm all in that moment. And yeah,
Like
I
she didn't feel like
she is not the one that did that.
No,
She
yeah,
she
I
she
agree.
she went into discords, and she said shit about like she called him like cheese boy, and that got around to him, and she made
Mm-hmm.
jokes about his like penis or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
like in most of these were in like the clips got like sent to him, but they weren't on like live or anything.
Oh
And
yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah.
and she's just like that. Like she is like
She will gossip about like
yeah,
yeah
and
things.
she's like really like it's like what makes her funny. Like she always says the most like extreme thing. Like she talked about her own rape. Like she like I was in like a panel with her, and the conversation was about like rape, and then she's like, and she's like, she says that she was like at one point like violently raped, and she's like,
Mhm.
it's not that bad.
God
And
damn.
yeah, so she's like, she's that kind of person. So like yeah.
Do you ever? Because I know like in the case of Destiny, at least the way he presents towards stream, um, is that Max and Lav were the first time he opened up in a long, long time, to have like friends or people he viewed as friends, and maybe Max wasn't necessarily that, but he did say that he viewed like Lav as like a good friend of his for over a year. Do you feel like any sympathy for the fact that like from his perspective, it looked like the only friend he opened up to in a long time was the star witness on that, what he viewed as a hit piece?
I don't think I don't think that he was maybe it's hard for me to say, because the way that he is friends with somebody, if that's the case, doesn't look like the way that I'm friends with people.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, he is 13 years deep in daily content creation, right? Like, I don't think a lot of his behaviors are gonna look similar to like most people who have like a pretty like I would imagine you have even though COVID happened and streaming happened, you have a pretty close relationship with like the last time you were living normal civilian life, right?
Yeah.
So like you have that level of like, it's gonna sound weird, but I guess like life experience that he doesn't have, and so like we all do, like most
I-
normies do have a level of life
yeah.
experience that I think a hardcore streamer of over a decade can't have. Like it probably is hard for him to bond with her without making content with her, I'd imagine.
I think that he is unique, and it's case by case. Like Reckful,
Mm-hmm.
that guy had another relationship with trying to make friends, and his issue was like almost the extreme opposite of Destiny in a lot of ways, because he was the type to be like completely clingy and smothering that people left him,
Mm-hmm. And too
and
caring and like maybe too giving or something like that.
too giving, but like upset, like he was like obsessive, and he wanted it too much, and he smothered people, and
Push people away.
yeah, and in a very not in like a Ben Thorpe kind of way, like we were talking about, in like a kind of like sad way, and like we've all known people like that. Destiny's not
Yeah.
like that. He like, even with like his like wife, it seems like they don't even like communicate very well. Like he was like cheating on her by their like standards, and she found out about it, and she was freaked out because he was cheating on her. Like they're poly, but and he's basically like, I don't care about it.
Oh, like he stepped past, like every poly relationship sets up boundaries and
Yeah.
clear rules, and he stepped past those rules. Yeah, that is such a hard position to be in for Melina, because I know the broader internet doesn't view it the same way they would view it if they were monogamous, right? Like, it's hard. It's probably harder for the like like her viewer or their viewership is mostly male. So like it's harder for a male to sympathize with Milena, oh, you were cheated on when they're already in an open relationship. Like I doubt anybody really took her side on that.
I take her side.
Well,
I think
yeah.
she's
No.
bad. She's such
And
a bad. She got so like they both like decided they're gonna start working out. This is and she got like so fucking. She's like a bodybuilder now. She's like so ripped.
Yeah, no, she's fit. And then she also got him to start working out, which is like impressive. I always think it's impressive. I obviously like I don't know his ideals on working out before all of this, but I know people in my life who when we were growing up they would be like I would never work out. Like that's a waste of my time. Like I'm not egotistical. I don't need like abs, like fuck all that. And it's like hard to do and like I'd rather do, what I like. And then now I know them and they're very on their own fitness journey and it's for self-improvement reasons and it's for health reasons.
Yeah.
It's like very
It's good for
inspiring, Yeah. So I would imagine that she inspired him to like a degree.
I bet she could.
No, yeah, she's badass. I think
she could probably beat him up in most men. Men that don't work out at all. She could probably beat up men that don't work out. Yeah.
She could probably beat up Destiny. I think like if Destiny was still her age and didn't work out,
Maybe not.
Like, pictures of him, he's really small. I will say though, like even when someone like a woman appears to have more muscle mass, men have like bone density, blood circulation, heart, lung capacity. There are a lot of things that could lead towards that, and I don't think it's
like me saying that is a big deal. Like
mismatch.
I just think that she's actually like really, really like fit.
Yeah, she is really strong, really fit. I think she probably could definitely beat up Destiny. Which isn't hard. I don't think like I think it's a shame that so many people put him down for his physique because obviously he doesn't value that. Like everybody has different goals, right?
Yeah.
And he dedicated, his time to trying to be as smart as he could. He didn't dedicate any time to fitness, right? And not to say that like you should be proud to be unfit, but like you shouldn't be shamed for not being that one thing.
When I see fat people, like some people will see fat people and they will see like, oh, this person is like they're dumb or
no impulse control.
Impulse because I just see fat people and I'm like, oh, this person has other priorities. That's what I think.
Like they might be like really into eating food, but other priorities is a perfect way to put it. Or when somebody's skinny but they're a runner, it's like they're not big but they run, like they're not supposed to be big.
Yeah.
So I want to talk more about sort of viewer perception and stuff. What do you know what your most like disliked video is, and do you know how many dislikes it has?
Oh, I think it's my I don't know off the top of my head. I think it is the Chris Chan one.
Okay.
Chris Chan was abused, and it's not that. I mean, it was pretty early on in my like video making career, and it's I could do so. I've been thinking about making a much better version of it, and I did a bunch of research to do it, and I might do that at some point. It's pretty off the cuff, but this was when he was still in jail and everything, and I got so many fucking comments. Everybody like saying that like.
You pissed off the Christorians, huh?
Yeah, I think that everything that Chris Chan is, every horrible, horrifying thing that he is because he was literally like even sexually like people like
he was abused online.
Yeah,
right?
people
like
they blackmailed him into cutting up his beloved medallion and shoving up his ass in pieces. Like then like doing weird shit with like cakes and shit and like filming it and then they spread it around.
It's the extreme end of the like whole communication is abuse, right? They literally used words until like he like raped himself, right? Like they manipulated him and fucked with him. No, I agree. I think like most Christorians think that what people online did to him was horrific.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately like well, I'm saying he, but I don't know. It's hard to say.
I say he. I know. I think that
Christine definitely transitioned just to get laid, and it is seemingly predatory.
I also think that he was egged on to and like he was groomed into it too.
Yeah,
I don't
but
think
if somebody's groomed into it and that's their identity now. If it wasn't Chris, for example, like let's say it was someone who was groomed from 16 to 18 to want to transitioned at 18, and they're 25 now and they're fully transitioned. and they maybe even they recognize it was abusive and cut off that
Sure,
relationship.
but there's still that. Yeah, I might, to their face, I would probably say she, but if they're like a personality, internet personality or something, and not to their face, and we're in a private conversation, this isn't for them. So for me, I just say, because I don't want to respect that grooming that I believe happened, and if I was in a face to face with Chris, I might say she, because
out of respect for Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of respect for Chris, but I do feel really awful for Chris.
Okay.
He's literally saying he's Jesus now and shit. Like, getting like paid in like
mentally unwell. Yeah.
Getting paid, like people are paying him to bless their cat and shit. Like,
damn.
You know, like the whole saga where he was trying to make money, like selling like random shit that was his just because it was his, just trying to get it, like take advantage of.
Yeah, like a transformer would probably be worth so much money, right?
Yeah, but that was really hard. He was running out of shit to sell, and like it was hard to do. Now all he has to do is bless people's fucking cats and shit.
That is kind of crazy. It'd be like, imagine going over to a wine party. And it's just like, oh, this is Christoph von Winkles the Fourth. He's blessed by Christine Chandler.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean blessed by Chris? Christine Chandler is a priest now. It's Jesus, rather.
25 of 50 cat acolytes in the quickie verse.
Verse. How would you feel though if the quickie verse opened up and we all became cartoon characters and Christine Weston Chandler was like goddess empress of the entire world and Sonichu?
Dude, that would dope. I would have to open up my unclit.
Your what?
Unclit? Okay, the unclit is
unclit?
This is the most disturbing thing in my opinion of the Chris Chan stuff.
Okay.
People convinced him. So if you feel under your balls in your like taint area, there's a part where like the cartilage makes a like a
line.
No, not a line. There's like a opening kind of split in the cartilage, and someone told him, I don't know if this is true, that's where your vagina would be. And so someone told him that if you cut that open, then listen to binaural beats.
Oh no.
Then you can grow a vagina emerge out of that, and it's called the unclit. Yeah, it's hard, but it's funny, but like honestly, it's impossible not to laugh at that, but also it's like truly horrifying.
Yeah, it's truly horrible. Like it's mutilation, right?
Yeah.
Like I think everybody gets skin crawls when that happens. Damn. Shit. So you seem good, I think, at building empathetic simulations, sympathetic simulations.
Try.
Because some of my questions were gonna be about that. Like, do you have any trouble maintaining them?
No, my problem is that I will give it priority over my own, and that's when I let people push me around, because I'm simulating you and I'm people pleasing you, and I'm not paying attention to myself
and your own wants or like your own motives. Do you ever think about people's objectives or motives in a setting? I used to be an actor, and like Meisner is my favorite sort of coach or whatever historically. Like I wasn't coached by him, but his books. And one of the things is like each character's objective. So like a lot of the times when I break down what I think people are like, I break down their objectives and what they might want. Do you ever do that?
No, but that's an interesting way to do it.
Okay.
I like that.
I think it's funny, even in just practice, even just when it comes to a small character in a show or a book.
Yeah, I like that.
Or when you see someone walk.
Maybe I should do that more.
I try not to do it with people I know, but it's hard not to, right?
No, it sounds like a good idea for me. Because what I'm doing is I'm just doing, like, trying to, like, simulate how people feel at all times. And doing that is less, it's more blurry than what they want. Right? It's,
Yeah. I mean, there's more guesswork. I think there's guesswork in what I do, too, but, because I always try to say, I easily could be wrong. You know what I mean?
Sure, but what I mean is, like, I'm more likely to give you what you want if I'm focused only on how you feel, and if I'm focusing more on what people want, then maybe I'll be more self-protective. because maybe
Okay.
what you want isn't good for me, and I'm
Yeah,
not.
if you find out that their objective is misaligned, you might just be like, no. But
Yeah.
if you're like they seem to need this emotionally, you might ignore the misalignment and just jump to
Yes. Yes.
making them feel not sad.
Yeah.
Do you have troubles with people feeling sad? Like, do you ever get uncomfortable around sad people?
No.
No, really. I think most people do
No. I feel honored when people are willing to be sad around me, and I feel like they
when
trust
people are
me.
vulnerable.
Yeah, and they
Okay.
trust me, and I take responsive. That though, that like is what I'm talking about. So so in that situation, I'm like, okay, I'm like, you're trusting me in this way. I am. This is important for me to not like fuck you and fuck you up. You know what I mean? Like, you're giving me trust and responsibility, and so I'm here for you. And sometimes maybe I shouldn't be here for people,
Mm-hmm.
and so then I sometimes I'm setting boundaries and stuff, and I'm trying to figure that out. So sometimes I set too many boundaries too
I could see that. Yeah, I mean,
in my relationships. I'm trying to figure out how to have that in a healthy way.
mm-hmm.
So people that I date will like experience like me either setting too many boundaries or not enough,
Or like
and I'm trying
you
to figure it
happen to
out.
not set them and then it becomes a problem later.
Sure, yeah. I'm actively though always trying to, at least in the past like year, I've been trying to figure out the healthy place.
Do you ever feel like sometimes this like um gets you too wrapped up in your own head while with people? Do you ever think that it inhibits like your ability to bond with people
No,
or
it's just the
anything like that?
opposite. It does the
Oh,
opposite.
it
No,
helps you bond. So
no,
if
no,
you didn't do
because
this,
I'm living in your head, you know, when this is happening. Like, I don't know you well enough for that to be exactly what's happening right now. But like,
right?
but it like, say we do like 3 streams, like I'm gonna have a very like much bigger more functional simulation of you, and I'm living in it. And
Mm-hmm.
that means that when you listen to me talking, you will, like, I'm going to be saying like, I will instinctually, because I'm a people pleaser, be like tailoring myself for your needs. And
Yeah.
that's something I'm working on. I don't do that as much, but I still simulate it. So even if I'm
Mm-hmm.
not doing it, I'm still living in your mind. So
Like you might simulate something and then not follow through with like what that simulation might point you towards.
yeah, and
But you're doing it.
that's what
Well, I
Mr.
guess what I
Girl.
meant is it might make it easier for you to bond, right? Because you're understanding them. Do you ever think that it halts people from either bonding with you or wanting to bond with you? Like, for example, if you set up a boundary, if someone's adverse to boundaries, which maybe they shouldn't be, but maybe they like have negative experience with somebody who set up boundaries in a sort of abusive way.
Yeah, so this is what Mr. Girl's problem is. What people have.
His problem with you or his
No, no,
problem
no,
in
no.
general?
What people have diagnosed, like, I'm not saying his actual problem, what people have diagnosed as his problem. So he'll
Okay.
have these conversations with people, and he will not be able to move past a certain point, and he will stick to something, and he, because what he's doing is he's setting up these very rigid boundaries, and he's like so he I think he used to have the same problem that I do, and his solution is go very far in the other direction and make like tons and tons of boundaries, and it does do what you're saying. It makes people like dislike him
Or
because
weary even, right?
but he's very in tune with the people that he's talking to, and because of that, he is actively protecting himself from you and trying to tell you exactly what he thinks about you, which might be different from what you think about yourself. And he's like constantly working on this, like creating your whole brain within his brain, and then protecting himself from you and trying to like communicate to you about his own simulation. It's so much of his functioning goes to that. And I'm not convinced that he has figured out the healthy medium there either.
Yeah. Do you ever feel sympathy for people who can't simulate? Because I feel like for certain people they might not have the bandwidth to simulate like this, right?
Like dumb?
Especially to the degree, yeah, I guess. Like to the
No.
degree Mr. Girl does. Or I think some people don't realize that they accidentally naturally do this. And it doesn't take as much bandwidth like to do that, right?
those people, yeah, those people get taken advantage of, I think too.
People who are just naturally simulating
Yeah, they're
people's thoughts.
yeah.
And why is that? Why do you think that people who do that,
Either they
they're
get
not?
either they get taken advantage of, or they're taking advantage of other people.
Mm, okay. So like, what would you call these people, like, charming or not charming?
Charming, very charming, very charming. I think that makes people charming.
Do you think that charming people often have ill intentions?
No.
Okay. But they can, or if they did, they could act on them.
Yeah, like I'm thinking most women naturally fall into this role of being like, and women will talk about this in of like being kind of like a therapist to people. And I know so many fucking, this is so weird. I know so many women who, as a, talking about Chris, this happened with Chris, who as a child were like recruited to befriend or like someone who is literally retarded and like be their friend. Like I know so many
'Cause
women.
Chris had that person, right? Chris had
Yeah,
that girl
he had a
in his
group. He had
early
a group, his
life.
gal pals. He had a group of them.
Right, which like might have been set up by counselors or
Yeah.
something in his life.
Yes. And I know so many women that would put in that role, and so many women, those are very tend to be very charming people, and because they've been slotted into this role where they're emotionally taking care of other people, and they're going to be very likable and stuff. But I think they're most likely throwing themselves under the bus, and they're becoming doormats. And the people that are simulating other people, and not being doormats, are often going to be naturally manipulative people that, you know, are like either narcissistic or psychopathic or something. But a psychopath has a different type of empathy. They have cognitive empathy, so they'll understand you like an algorithm.
In a logical way.
Yeah, they'll understand you like a line of code. I mean,
Okay.
not maybe not as cold as that, but basically like.
It is wild how many times you'll hear like like I don't know if you've met the archetype of like a person who codes, and actually, well, your narcissistic ex-boyfriend is this, right? But a person who codes and is abusive and then relates a lot of things to code, like literally goes, you'll start to realize people are either ones or zeros, or people are either ons or offs,
Yeah.
or they're just strings of code.
Well, another part of that is the community. So this is something I'm very confident about. The community in the professional software engineering, like the community. If this is not the case if you work for a small company, but if you're working in a corporate environment doing software engineering, it is cutthroat. And if you like, and the people that get to the top are fucked up. They step on other people. And if you ask them for help, they resent you because I don't like, and maybe even they did get help from other people, but they still resent you because
And it's built into the culture, right? Because
Yeah.
don't most coders use they use other people's code, right?
yeah,
Open source code being like the most major and like ethical one.
Like-
but most people will use like an open source program and modify it to fit what they need, and that will.
oh
be, like,
yeah,
their
that's the software engineering way of doing it. And like that's where you have all these packages and you're kind of using a lot of other people's stuff. But what I'm saying is like it would work better. The whole system would work better if people were more helpful to each other and shit. Because so like let's say that you have an issue with your code and you don't know exactly what you need to do. That's a cute cat.
Thank you.
You don't know what you need to do to fix it. And if you talk to someone with more experience, they'll be able to tell you exactly what you need to do, like really fast.
Yeah.
And you are resented for doing that because people that do that are weak and they like everybody just hates you if you do it, and they don't want to waste their time. Do your fucking job.
Like they would rather a more autonomous coder on their team.
Right. And so what you have to do is you have to spend a like magnitude higher more amount of time just like trying to figure out what the fuck you're supposed to be doing all on your own, and then when someone else comes and asks you the same question, you're like, you fucking do it your fucking self. I hate you. And that's the culture. It's like everybody is like forced. It's like they're forced to do everything the hard way, and they perpetuate this cycle. And it means that the people that are the most manipulative and like abusive like get to the top, and the people that are easily taken advantage of stay at the bottom.
I want to talk next about a bit about meritocracy, and do you think like that is like, do you think that these types of sort of patterns in cultures like that are like the result of meritocracies? Like, do you think meritocracies sort of facilitate that, where somebody doesn't want to help and they want to be recognized and they want a person on their team to not like require help, or they don't deserve to be there?
It's meritocracy, but also with people trying to kick other people down, like refusing to help people and resenting people for needing help when you helping them would make them improve faster and help them grow way faster. It's more than just meritocracy. It like I'm a big fan of meritocracy, but they're trying to prevent you from gaining merit almost. Or like you have to gain merit
and they'll
the hard
probably
way.
avoid their own nepotism, right? Like they'll avoid that they were helped,
Yes, they will.
and that probably makes them uncomfortable. Do you think meritocracies will kind of make that uncomfortable? Like if everything is like, I guess everything is sort of a meritocracy to an extent, but in different ways. Like popularity is its own meritocracy, financial success is its own meritocracy, and then your position in your field is its own meritocracy. But if we were to isolate just one, like your position in your field, do you think that being a part of a meritocracy naturally makes you want to admit that you get help less?
Probably, yeah. In particularly in a corporate environment.
I would imagine it extends further. I've never really been in a corporate environment, but I notice people in social settings, you know, X person just got a car and they don't want to admit that their dad bought it, or like, you know, Y person just got a job, they don't want to admit that their friend got it for them. Or, you know, yeah, if their friend got them the job, they're like extra inclined to prove
Right.
themselves.
But it goes against meritocracy to even do that. I hate that. Right? Because
what, nepotism in general?
yeah,
Okay.
and like in a true meritocracy, you should be honest about everything that got you there, and that's part of the like
Is transparency important there?
in a true meritocracy. Yeah. We don't live in a meritocracy. You know,
I would say we live in a fragmented meritocracy. Every little piece of it, there probably is. Like, so for example, like,
look,
jobs that require personality, I think it's fine for there to be nepotism there, because that is somebody in the industry got to know you and valued your personality, and that is what that industry values. You know what I mean? Like, you proved your value in a different way, but you did still prove a personality-based value. But I would agree that in, like, let's say it's a corporate environment, it's all numbers. It's like how smart you are. That you can't be nepotistic unless you know somebody who's smarter than you.
You can convince people, and you can there is
or not. You can. I mean, you ought not to. Like, you shouldn't.
There's a trichotomy that is used in the software engineering. I forget the names of the words. But there are like losers. There's losers, slackers, and winners. I think those are the words. And the winners don't do barely any work, but they take credit for other people's work, and they maneuver.
Do less than the slackers.
And the slackers don't do very much work, but they're fine being where they are. I think those are the best ones. They do the bare minimum and they stay where they are. And then the losers are the ones that everybody takes advantage of, and like they're the ones that make the winners the winners. Yes,
right,
yes,
okay.
and they stay where they are and they don't grow. The winners
stay winning, losers stay losing.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what makes it a meritocracy.
No, because the people with merit are the ones that are actually the literal losers. Like,
yeah, the ones that do the least work.
No, the losers are the ones that doing the most work.
Yeah, no, but you said the winners in the meritocracy are the actual losers.
Yes.
That's what I meant.
Well, they're the most least merit. They have the least merit.
They have the least. Yeah, they deserve their position the least.
if you're going
Um,
by merit.
yeah. What do you think of the meritocracy on Twitch? What's the state of that? Or on YouTube and the streaming
Oh,
world in
it's
general?
awful, dude.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, the merit is defined by an algorithm that's like stupid and made for children.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, and that's like the curse of Miskiff, right? So like he, like, I think he's kind of like he's built himself into something super embarrassing, and I don't think he wants that. You know, he doesn't want that, and he doesn't know how to escape that, because if he doesn't do that, then like the numbers will drop off like away, and like he has to be surrounded with fucking toys, and like
I saw Miskip at a party once, in 2021. I didn't introduce myself to him because he was so distant and seemed unbelievably depressed. He was
yeah,
like the most depressed person I saw that whole year.
yeah, he's
Um,
trapped.
yeah, I mean, but he's also gonna retire. Like he's trapped in a loop because it makes him so much money. Obviously, if he didn't value money, he could escape it, right?
Maybe, yeah. Well,
To an
I
extent.
think
He couldn't have a free outdoor life, right?
he's psychologically in it. He's I don't think he knows how to escape it.
He couldn't if he wanted to, right?
He needs, like, so if he didn't value money, like he doesn't have another value. Like even if he stops valuing money, he needs to value another thing. And
Because then he'll have no purpose, right?
he needs like an artistic vision. If he could become infatuated with an artistic vision, it would change his life.
Do you think it's easier for him to become infatuated with like women and his artistic vision is sort of making them famous or something like that than it
That
is for him to
sounds
become
that sounds bad. That sounds like
That
a
sounds
bad
bad.
recipe. That sounds a
Well, I
record.
think it's a bad recipe, but do you think that might be part of his like little
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So I'm sort of running out on time. I have a friend coming over, but I do want to get to some of these Destiny report questions if you're down.
Sure, let's go.
So, did any of your opinions change during the time you were editing the Destiny report video, and when you filmed it? Like, so from when you filmed it to when you were done editing it, did any of your opinions change?
A little bit. Yeah, I can't remember what though.
While I was watching it, one of the things I noticed was that all of the recorded dialogue seemed, um, like let's say like a bias towards Destiny would be right and a bias towards Mr. Girl would be left. It seemed like you were center to left, biased towards Mr. Girl, but it seemed like every time text came up on the screen that it was sort of a more like balanced take, like acknowledging certain things, like oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
to
so
be
yeah, that's
fair,
the thing. Okay, now you've made me recall like what makes me. So a lot of that is trying to play devil's advocate, and I was doing the people pleasing thing. I was getting in the mind of the Destiny fan, and I was trying
Okay.
to people please them, and it got in the way of like my true vision. But I think it's still like it's still a lot of work, and it's still something I did. And I mean this, but
So what you're
yeah.
saying is like while watching over your footage and editing the video, you sort of thought, how would a
I know
Destiny
what they're
viewer...
gonna say. I have to put
and you
something
tried
here.
to address it
Yes,
before.
yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
So were any of those text pop-ups not genuinely your feelings?
They're generally my feelings at the time. Yeah.
Would you consider ever like reshooting that video with them as audio?
Yeah, that's also part of just trying to get it done too.
Mhm.
But I'm not.
No, yeah, you
I'm
had
not.
to do it quickly. You didn't want to reshoot.
I did it as
right?
quickly as I could, and people said it wasn't
And
quick
you were
enough.
yeah, you were still like it was still probably a week or two after the document dropped.
No,
right?
it was like a month and a half.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
It's a
part of
big
you read.
document.
Yeah, it is. It is a big document. I thought it was cool that you actually printed it out.
Yeah, I have
And
it still.
seeing
I
you
have
in
it still
settings,
right
actually
here.
reading it.
I have it still right here under my my doll that I got here.
Your paperweight of that doll, nice. Okay.
Yeah,
So your
this is-
opinions did change.
I was gonna destroy it, but I still got it.
have your opinions changed from then to now? So post editing and
I've
releasing the
become
video
more. I've become less enmeshed with the Destiny DGG viewer and what they think, and I'm more in tune with what I actually think and my own feelings, and I am afraid of Destiny.
that's where you're at. You're afraid of Destiny.
I'm afraid of him. I think, especially after making that video, like if he interacts with me, he's going to try to humiliate me and tarnish my reputation, because that's the type of thing he does. Like he's not going to do. I can't see him doing anything else.
Okay.
Just
Have you seen anything of him referencing it? Like, have you seen
No.
leaked? No.
No.
Okay.
He might not even be aware of it. I
Okay.
was talking to somebody. They said that if he's aware of me, it's. But I did talk to him before, but like he might not even remember that. But he might be aware of fucking. What is it? Live stream fails. I've been on there. I don't even know, but people have told me I've been on live stream fails, but I don't even remember. I don't even know. But like maybe he's seen there. I don't know. 'Cause everyone looks at that.
I was actually on the panel with Anna, the Zerka panel.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I was there to see like the 4-hour little like.
I like Zerka. He's
Me too.
He's hilarious.
He's my most beloved like villain like that I watch.
Yeah. He knows what he is, and he's
there
not.
is a dichotomy though. Well, when I got involved, he was saying a lot less like I'm a pedophile. You know what I mean? He's doing a lot less outrageous stuff. But there was literally genuinely a lot of like, and I think Ben has this too to some degree, where in their own fucked up way, they're looking out for younger men. You know what I mean? They kind of have the wrong worldview. And yeah, they might be vitriolic. Like I can't tell you how many times like Zerka has insulted me, but it's because he thinks like being a certain way will harm your life, and he's like telling you that you're doing it in the most like rude way he can, I guess. And like to an extent it is looking out for people.
I can see that.
So I have nothing but love for Zerka. I know he's on his schizo arc right now. But yeah, he's my favorite villain.
The I am a pedophile shit is pretty funny.
Yeah, I've made a sound bit of it. It was unbelievably funny to see like the host's reaction to it, like how uncomfortable he got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's done it like multiple times now. But
yeah, he's tweeted it or whatever. But that first thing, I think he's like on a show, and they're like, "What about this?" And he's like, "I'm a pedophile." And they're like, "Well, no, you're not." And he's like, "No, yeah, I am. No, yeah." And then he's like, "Every guy's a pedophile." And they're like, "I don't think it is. Want me to debunk you?" That's the funniest like Zerka quote. Spending so much time online and in these panels, I picked up. I'll call them isms. So like Zerka isms or Clint isms, other streamers I know.
Yeah.
And one of the things where I personally feel like I've always had a charming personality, IRL when I meet people.
Yeah.
But spending so much time online has made it so I will accidentally allow Twitch isms, like Twitch, like streamer.
Oh, so you told people you're a pedophile?
No, I haven't done that. But like, I mean, part of being in those older panels is that you get drunk and you say ridiculous stuff or do ridiculous stuff, right? There are times where I've been at a bar, like blackout drunk, and like informed later that I went up to like a random guy and started rubbing his bald head and like complimenting it and shit like that.
Yeah.
And like bothering people and like trying to make friends with people and trying to say like funny bits and like all this stuff where like, yeah, definitely spending too much time online around like Zerka or around like all these people will make you a little bit insane, but I'm not opposed to it because I really like this side of the internet and the different opinions, the different like worldviews and just everything. And I actually particularly hold an interest in like you or in Mr. Girl or in Ben because we're all from New England. And I personally believe that New England historically has a way of indoctrinating its worldview onto the citizens, you know? Like, we are an incredibly liberal area, and everybody here, I mean, growing up, has sort of an outlook that is incredibly liberal, welfare-based, equality-based, and it's not bad at all. My cat is freaking out. It's not bad. But the way different people react to it, like Mr. Girl, I've seen his different essays and his videos that relate to like how his mom was, like how woke his mom was, and how
Yeah.
his like her and her like lesbian like partner treated him growing up, like anti-men hate.
Yeah.
It is something that happens like, or like
It
the
made
whole
me
like
so the video
men versus women argument happens online now, but it's been happening in mass for a very long time.
Oh yeah, the video that you said you didn't watch like is basically about how that all made me want to be a woman. It made me want to be trans for a while.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah.
that's the autogynephilia.
Yeah. It made me want to be a woman. I hated being a man so much.
Wow.
That's why I'm wearing but now look at me. Look I got a he him hat.
So you're he him. So you I think there is also this interesting thing, like I have a New England dad. I think when I was like probably 17, I was exploring like with my presentations and stuff, and I was wearing like nail polish, for example, right?
Yeah.
And my dad was immediately like, well, why? And I was like, well, because nail polish doesn't matter. It's just because I wanted my nails to be yellow today. Like, you know what I mean? And part of that isn't necessarily something that came genuinely from me. It was just like something my peers were doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then again, style is influenced by that. Like, what are your peers doing? But our peers have been liberal for over like, you know, for hundreds of years. And so a lot of New England people, I think in the case of like Ben, there are a lot of like blue collar. He's not blue collar, like he ran a restaurant. It's not necessarily the same as like construction work, but you know, whatever, hardworking like men or whatever, like guys who feel like sort of outcast, or like they have to conform to something. And then if they're not that if they have defiant personality disorder or something like that, then they're gonna become more spiteful or like more anti
Yeah.
anti
I
these
used to
things.
wear
Like he's anti-gay, he's anti
I used to wear nail polish, and like a year ago I was driving and I had to make a stop for gas. I remember the guy in the gas station had nail polish on, and I was like, oh man, I hate that, because I used but he had nail polish on, and then he also told me he was listening to something on the radio, and he's like he made a comment about how there's microchips in the COVID vaccines. So
this is like the dichotomy. He's got like the liberal nails, but the like the right wing conspiracy theorist podcast running. I actually, a funny story about like, so perception and like liberalness in mass. I was going to pick up a rose for my ex-girlfriend a while ago, and I had my nails painted at the time. And I think that the clerk thought that I was like gay, and to be like supporting, he was like, you can have it for free.
That's
like,
so
smiled at
fucking
me.
cringe, dude. Oh, dude. When I was like 16, I like just to be extreme and have I would do things to have extreme experiences. And so I got a dress, and I went cross dressing in this like trail that like people would walk on, and everybody fucking smiled at me. Is like, hey, how are you doing? And it was really cringely nice to me, and I was like so uncomfortable.
Like
it made me
fake,
so
right?
it would made me so uncomfortable how fake nice they were to me. I hated it.
Yeah. And that's like sort of why like I understand when Southerners come up here and say, oh, like people in the North aren't genuine. Like we're capable of being genuine to people we like a lot, but in general, like there's a lot of politities that we have to participate in.
Yeah.
People we don't even know or like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it leaves some of these like older men feeling like they're fucked. I think like in the case of like Mr. Girl, he has to be nice to his two like lesbian, like his mom and his stepmom, but they don't have to be nice to him. They can actually like tell him that he's a piece of shit for what he thinks, or he like they could just tell him you're sexualizing this or that, and he's like in his head like no I'm not. You know what I mean? And it like I think it led to him writing essays in college that were very oppositional, which led to him making videos that were very oppositional. And I think a lot of his personality is around that, like building an opposition and like holding positions people wouldn't want to hold. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But yeah, I think we should save more questions for next time. I really like talking to you. If you would want to do more streams together, I would definitely be into it.
One thing that was on my mind about the Zerka pedophile thing.
Yeah.
Isn't it like he's gotten away with it, right? He's totally gotten away with it. And
Well, he's getting away with these things. He's not getting canceled.
right. And but like Mr. Girl didn't get away with it.
Yeah, I think with Zerka, a lot of his outbursts get a little less outreach. Like the most outreach he ever got wasn't necessarily this bad. It was, I don't know if you've ever want to see like his first blow up. There's a video called like The Birth of Zerka or something. But it's basically like him on a panel, his first panel, and he got a lot of views. And he always quotes 500,000 views first night online, right?
Mm.
He didn't do anything like anti-gay. He didn't say he was a pedophile. He didn't do any racist comments then. It wasn't until like he was much low viewership, and he's been attempted to be canceled for these things a lot, to the point where the only people who stick around aren't people who cancel him. Like, you know what I mean? They are like viewers who either agree with him or are so irony pilled they don't care what he says, and he realizes that his audience, like, he's to the point where his audience like won't cancel him. I don't think he's uncancelable. I think if he got a 1 million view clip and he was being the way he normally is, that people would try to cancel him. I just don't think he has as much outreach as he used to.
Yeah. He has that irony armor.
Yeah, he does have irony armor. I mean, Sam Hyde is like the ultimate case of irony
I
armor.
love Sam Hyde.
I like his content and everything. It's just
I think
such a shame
he's
that
I
he
think he's
likely, very much likely, is a Nazi or like holds Nazi-esque beliefs.
maybe,
You
but
know?
I also see a deeply moral person in him. And so like it's easy because I'm not Jewish, but like I see like him like acting to like he'll do what he did to like iDubbbz and shit. But like to like normal people, he'll do things to be very protective of people and stuff, and in ways that Destiny Ave never would. Like
True. I mean, I think that's part of it too. Is like he's said it, or I said it earlier. Like there are cases of these men online who are looking out for younger men.
yeah,
And in his
he
own
really
sick,
is.
twisted way, he is. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I love his comedy. I think like more comedians should push boundaries. I think we shouldn't let like.
I don't think he's a Nazi.
It's hard. It's hard because he could be irony pilled, but also
Well, no,
but
I think
also
he's a max.
donated-
He's a max. Oh, that was a yeah, but that was. It wasn't like he did that in private. He did that for the content.
Yeah, I've tried to devil's advocate argue this and lost so hard, and I'm really good at devil's advocate arguments. Like part of it is like his Reddit post history before he was caught, and it was before he was major. Like what is the investment in him spending like 3+ years arguing like white erasure on Reddit before he was famous? You know what I mean?
Okay, well then now you're starting to get me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
okay.
that's the thing. That's the big trip up. And you know, maybe he's just paranoid and maybe his opinions have changed, but he's too like set in his way to like admit he was wrong. But
Well,
I separate the art from the artist. I think his comedy is pretty revolutionary in a lot of ways. I don't think there are a lot of comedians who can do what he does. They could if they put themselves in such a like vulnerable position, and he's the only one who does that, you know?
yeah. Well, he just goes for the most. Like I think like he'll make like jokes with like Nazi shit in it because it's the most offensive thing you could possibly say.
No, I
And
agree.
And because of that, it makes me feel like he isn't.
Well, I think that's why he writes it into his comedy, but I think outside of his comedy, he holds some of these beliefs. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
I definitely think he probably thinks that there's like an ethnic IQ difference. I think that he thinks that there's a cultural superiority going on. I think that he thinks that the conspiracy theories about like migrants into the US disrupting white culture and white hegemony in America is like, I think he believes that and he is afraid of it. I don't think that his comedy is necessarily like is tainted by that. You know, I think you could not hold those beliefs and still come like he's sitting there brainstorming.
He could
with
be
more
not
than one person.
He
Yeah,
could be not a Nazi and still have the same jokes.
yeah. I don't think the jokes are tied to his beliefs. I don't think he
No, they're not.
necessarily
They're not.
gets political often. But he slipped up younger. He posted all of these beliefs online, and it made him look really bad. And he lost an opportunity that like most people online would kill for, like a television show. You know what I mean? But he's turned it around in a pretty historic way, in a sense. There's not really been a thing where somebody who had been completely taken down and was destitute, like viewership wise, overturns like another legend like iDubbbz and then comes out on top like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not something iDubbbz could do now, in my opinion. I don't think iDubbbz could make viewer reception of himself more positive than someone who is considered like a legend now. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
iDubbbz could go to war with like Penguin Zero and now everybody hates Penguin Zero, but everybody loves iDubbbz again. That would never happen, but that's what happened with him, and he's pretty like crazy for that. But I do have to go. I hate to be that guy. I did enjoy our convo, and I want to do more of this with you. I really like you. And maybe next time, I don't know if we could, like, I still have a ton of questions I could get through on this document alone, but I could start working on a new one. Would you want to talk about, I've been trying to argue with, because I often say I like to argue with people who have like good opinions and can solidify my own opinions with, like, essentially the way I look at it is I have an argument. If I lose that argument, I now have the exact positions I need to shore up and steelman.
Sure.
To later be better at it. So I'm wondering if you would want to have a conversation about AI and
I have a lot to
replacing...
say. I have a lot to say about AI.
So I'm going to just lay my position out. I think AI could potentially, in the next like 1,000 years, safely replace the workforce.
Well, that's such a fucking safe position. 1,000 years.
Is that a safe...
1,000 years.
Well, that's the thing, is I don't think it could happen in 50. I don't think like AI is advanced enough. I think a major block would be automation in general, like mechanical bodies. Like AI may be sophisticated enough,
yeah,
but we don't have
replace
factorization of certain jobs, right?
Yeah, sure. That's a whole different topic about automation. I think the way I would boil it down is, can AI replace rich people jobs or like intellectual jobs, people sitting at desks?
I'll go as far as I can then, because you think it's a safe position. I think AI could replace the president.
Yeah, exactly. Because you don't need to automate a thing; you just need a computer, right? So,
well, I think AI could just replace every single job in existence one day. AI and automation.
Theoretically.
Okay, so we largely agree, maybe, but maybe we'll just have an agreeing. We'll suck each other off for a couple hours, like.
Well,
on stream
replacing
next time.
jobs is different from replacing people.
Well, I don't want them to replace people. I want people to stay, to exist. I just don't think that. I think that one day, this is the main position. One day, the required human workload to supply for every person on Earth will be meetable and beatable by AI and automation alone. Such is the case, we wouldn't have to incentivize work with money.
Sure.
Okay, so that's sort of my position. We'll delve into it. I'll write a small document about it. And
well,
you can
I'm sure there are
maybe...
places we do disagree, though. Like,
I'm sure there are, yeah. So write as well thought out as you could, like how many holes, where do you agree, what are the pros and cons? Let's do it that way.
Sure.
I'll write all my pros, all my cons. You'll write all your pros, all your cons. And we'll talk about it.
Sure.
Sweet. Cool. It was good talking to you, Smith.
Good talk.
Have a good one.
You too. Good guest. Yeah, I don't think that AI can be... I think it can be better than people at things, but I don't think that we're going to be able to build an AI brain that does more than simulating humanity. I think the simulation is not the same as being human or having a conscious experience. Because I think a conscious experience is going to take a lot more advancements in computer technology. And once we can build an AI, and I don't think we know how to do that yet, and at all, period. And once we can build an AI, if we theoretically could build an AI that has a conscious experience and doesn't just simulate one, that could be enmeshed with the culture of humanity and become an integral human like being. But that, I don't know if that's possible. unless we develop like some kind of artificial brain that has neurons and synapses that can change and alter. Other than that, it would take such a massive amount of computing power. Other than having a physical brain that changes and morphs around, I don't think that we can do it. We could maybe build one with like a fucking giant computer, but we can simulate it so that we can simulate a human so that it can convince and trick other people into thinking that it is having a conscious experience. But I don't think that that's the same as having an actual conscious experience. And having a conscious experience is what makes you enmeshed with human culture and not just responding to it. More than a tool, like an integral part. Human culture, consciousness is how we interface with culture. Yeah, nice talking to you, Mike. Okay. In order for AI to become sentient, it has to make its own reward system and decide what's a +1 or a -1 in its existence. Maybe. That's not even where I was going. I was going like hardware wise. We need to build an AI that has a childhood. Yeah, I could treat an AI as a human, as a person, if it is conscious, which I think we can measure as a complicated, multi-faceted way of experiencing things where it's more than just reactional. You touch something hot and you move your finger away. An ant can do that, but an ant isn't conscious. You touch something hot and you move your finger away, and then you replay it in your mind and you think about what that is. That's consciousness. It's a secondary experience of the action. So it has to be able to do that, and also it would feel way more human if it could have a childhood and develop and be impacted into what it is through years of being enmeshed via consciousness with human culture. And in that case, if we could build that, I would see it as one of us. But yeah, AI doesn't have sensory input. Sorry, AI, but it's not. I mean, we can fucking put sensors on it, so it's not the sensory input. It's the mechanical limitations of a secondary experience. That has an individuation from all other so an AI will simulate being an individual, but it isn't. It's a very difficult thing to do mechanically. You don't think consciousness is real? I do. I think consciousness is a mechanism that allows us to integrate with culture and have social learning. That's what I think. Well, have a good night, Smith heads.